You're welcome back. Stakeholders have continued to lend their voices for the protection of the rights of women and girls against all forms of gender-based violence. A group known as the Side-by-Side Movement for Gender Justice is calling on governments at all levels to accelerate policy responses within key areas to eradicate cases of violence against women and girls in Nigeria. Clearview TV's Gloria Atta has more.
Over the years, there have been increased reportage of gender-based violence cases in which women and children are mostly affected. Recent reports from the National Human Rights Commission states that no fewer than 158,517 complaints of sexual and gender-based violence against women and children were received in 2021. As the 16 days of activism to end gender-based violence continues, an interfaith-based organization known as the Side-by-Side Movement for Gender Justice in Nigeria has joined voices with other global human rights communities in seeking ways to end the menace. In a press briefing jointly addressed by co-chairs of the movement, Professor Mustafa Ismail and Reverend John Hayab in Abuja, they want the federal government to take drastic measures to put it to an end.
We are also urging governments at all levels and partners to accelerate concrete policy responses within 5 areas. 1. Fund essential services on gender-based violence and women's organizations working on the issue in all COVID-19 response efforts. 2. Prevent gender-based violence through mobilization campaigns and a zero-tolerance policy. 3. Respond to survivors' needs for services like hotlines, shelters, and justice response, even during lockdowns. 4. Collect data to improve services, programs, and policies. 5. Protect victims of gender-based violence.
Don't think that 16 days is just to do a traditional thing and it goes. No, we have gone past that. The number of women involved in decision making in our country, in our culture, is now better than what we had in the past. Yes. The number of women involved in issue of governance have now gone past where we are. Every day people are born, people are growing and becoming of age. So the things you think people know yesterday, there are people who have just come of age now, they do not know. So we need to continue this so that the new people who are coming up should know and understand, and we don't go back.
The Side-by-Side Movement is made up of people of different faiths, religious leaders, and faith-based organizations who are committed to partnering together to challenge barriers to gender justice. They are confident that if religious leaders and institutions use their platforms to engage their members on the ills of gender and sexual-based violence, Nigeria would be on the pathway to achieving the sustainable development goals of leaving no one behind. Gloria Atta, reporting for Clearview Television.
There has been an increasing call to improve on the number of women and youths in peace operations, be it peacekeeping or special political missions, are increasingly intersecting with expectations of what women and youths can contribute to be part of the security architecture. Dr. Bakut, the DG of the Institute of Peace and Conflict Resolution, at the event organized by the Frederick Herbert Stiftung in partnership with the African Union and the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution this Wednesday in Abuja, led the campaign calling for women and youth inclusion in the fight against terrorism and other like groups. Clearview TV's Florence Joshua was there and now reports.
Take it or leave it. Nigeria is one of the most unstable and terrorized countries in the world. It is currently ranked 3rd in the world with a death toll of 25,711 people killed between 2010 and 2019. This does not include those murdered, kidnapped, assaulted, raped, and abducted since 2020. Nigerians are gradually being paralyzed with the fear of violence, inability to access their farms, travel, socialize, go to school, or even enjoy safety at home. Women, youth, and children are at the receiving end as they bear the major brunt arising from wars and conflicts. Hence, the conversation about the security architecture that makes women and youth active stakeholders.
At least 16 out of the 36 states have now a peace and a security agenda, which is supposed to include women and youth by the UNHCR conventions, which also Nigeria has signed in their national action plans and the state action plans. But there's a lot of things to be missing, which we will discuss today, and a lot of people who have a lot more expertise in the field will give their ideas on that.
The youth and the women are the ones that in the end endure more of the negative impact of conflicts, whether they are election or insurgency.
In all the documents I've seen that has to do with security, women were not given the proper right of place, and the youth, they were barely mentioned in the passing. Invariably, this population too is important. So we should also always try to give them right of place.
Dr. Dayo Oluyemi Kusa, a conflict transformation specialist, spoke on the need to ensure women and youth are made to be part of the system and not just victims of insecurity.
All these negative things that affect the country, they affect women and indeed children more. That's why in the third National Action Plan, the plan is to ensure that more of these issues of terrorism, of food insecurity, of insecurity beyond perimeter fencing. We're looking at things like patriarchy. We're looking at the socialization process of the average girl. What goes into it that makes her timid and not able to come out.
The Frederick Ebert Time Fund is a non-profit German foundation funded by the government of the Federal Republic of Germany. FES is committed to the advancement of both social, political, and economic development in the spirit of social democracy through civic education, research, and international cooperation. Frederick Ebert Time Fund is the oldest political foundation in Germany. Florence Joshua reporting for Clearview Television.
We have no choice but to respect the rights of the girl child to education. This was the charge of the Anambra State Commissioner for Women and Children Affairs, Ife Obinabo, to Christian mothers of the Tree of Life Gospel Ministry. The occasion was the annual meeting, which took place at the headquarters of the church in Nanka. Obinabo, who was represented by Chizoba Ezenwewu, noted that a child has the right to be educated up to the secondary school level in the first instance and also be allowed to have a say in choosing her career, while also cautioning mothers against maltreating and torturing their households. She urged them to endeavor to treat any child living with them like their own biological children. According to her, the Ministry of Women and Children Affairs will not tolerate maltreatment of children by relatives or guardians, disclosing that the ministry was handling a case of torture in Awada area of the state, where a woman used a razor blade to inflict serious injuries on the body of a child living with her. Gracing the event was the founder and general overseer of the church, Bishop Jari Dada Obi, his wife and mother general of the church, Ubwama Jerry Obi, and other prominent members. Now, over the years, female fertility has been considered as the ability to conceive a biological child, although 11% of couples face infertility cases, while others have been blessed with fruitful and fertile wombs. But then, how many babies can a woman give birth to? A 41-year-old Ugandan woman, Miriam Nabatanzi, has reportedly given birth to 44 children becoming the most fertile woman in the world. The 41-year-old, also known as Mama Uganda, lives in an almost unfurnished 4-bedroom house in her village, located 50 kilometers north of the Ugandan capital, Kampala. Looking into the genuinity of her story, a journalist courtesy of Ruhi Sernet, in an interview with Miriam, explores into her life and how she survives with her kids.
Kati abangi benazaala bannema amanya waswa muto waswa mukulu nsubuga nyina jagati nyina emulani namutebi jeni nalugama abobuzanya nyinawo atimu Josefu Chiala pensoso zuku chiwo mama gaya Shamira muto nyinawo Shamira mukulu nyinawo Dija nyinawo Viola nyinawo Musoke nyinawo Trevor nyinawo Kao nyinawo Emulani nyinawo banji kagamba bonna nga ng'omuzadde bonna siina gwesemanyi newemba simutegedera mmanya nti gundi taliiwo ne gundi takolaje banzaala naye ate oluvannyuma n'oddamu ok'oluvannyuma ne nga taata sisobola musayira musango ng'omusajja maama yekka gwe nejjusa lwaki yanzaala
wa Buganda aluga waba footballers mpitake pamasanda bula mpomesa oluganda